it's pretty uncanny how I've been getting a ton of messages from a lot of people who I would say are out there on the front lines. Anywhere from I've been working with actors, models, musicians, spiritual teachers, ministers, standard Christian ministers, New Thought ministers, people who are doing really edgy stuff, producers of uh, major shows and films and things of that nature. Been getting a lot of questions lately from all these types of people about how intense things are lately. And I mean, we have this old paradigm. There's something that really makes this very difficult for us because we have this old paradigm of like the old sort of guru student or the old thick, sugary persona student or, lowly, whatever dichotomy relationship that's just got to go. The way that it's been up to this point, for decades, it's been someone creates a great workshop or some kind of great presentation and they work the whole thing out. And then for the next 40 years, they go and they basically teach the same thing for 40 years. And there's little bits of updating and evolution, but nothing major. Same title, same workshop. And they keep doing it over and over. And if you've seen them 10 times, you know when the jokes are coming, you know when this is coming. And they keep doing it over and over and over again. And I mean, that's fine. It has a place, especially in something like sales or auto mechanics. I mean, how much evolution, of course, there's evolution in auto mechanics, but I mean, it's not like something that's spiritual and tangible, something that's much more inanimate that just naturally must breathe, that must continue to evolve. A lot of people are having a lot of issues right now with not knowing where to go and or feeling like when they're doing their thing, they're up there singing or speaking or whatever that may be. They feel like they're a wide open channel of the infinite. And then when they get back into their life, things aren't quite so easy. It seems like nothing's lining up. It may be money. It may not be money. It may be things with family, whatever. And it's really clear to me that the new fresh evolution, if you would call it that, this paradigm shift we're going through doesn't allow for those thick, sugary personas. I get acknowledged a lot from all across the world for being the only one speaking about certain things. And I mean, that's not true per se, although people do say that. But I think it's because I've always, in all of my CDs, right back to the beginning, in my book, I've always been willing to put my, what may seem like the contaminated parts of myself, the parts where I really screw up, the parts of me that fall short, the parts of me, little bits and pieces, analogies of difficult things in my family life or growing up, or how I'm not always on all the time. I'm not always batting. I'm not batting 1,000, 24/7, 365 or 365 or 366 on leap year. I've always been willing to put that out there. But the reason for that is maybe partially in how I was raised. I grew up in southern New Jersey. My mother, if she thought it, she said it. So if she had a thought about you, you knew what it was pretty often. And she wouldn't always say it under her breath. It was usually pretty direct. And I got that. And I don't think I could do what I'm doing if I didn't have that directness. It may resonate feelings of comfort for some people, but I didn't install those buttons that are popping for them. That directness has enabled me to talk about things that I find embarrassing, things that when I speak about them, I almost feel like I want to throw up because of the things that are connected in with that. Although I haven't really talked that much about it publicly, it's in anything I should say that's been published. I do it at my events, but nothing that I don't believe there's much that of me having any recorded materials that much has gone out about this, but about being, incest, molested by a family member when I was younger. Not just once and not just a couple dozen times, but repeatedly, hundreds of times over several years. And you get confused about things like that because here you are, this young child, and you're feeling something that simultaneously feels really amazing and puzzling and lights your whole body up, and yet at the same time, there's something not right about it. So there gets this guilt, this fear, this shame, and ultimately this anger to cover that up. So whenever you do go into those states of ecstasy and the energy body opens, what in ancient Gnosticism is called the pinnacle of the temple. This is the temple. It's not Jesus climbing to the top of a brick tower. Let's grow up on that one. When the energy body opens up, very common Gnostic idiom, the pinnacle of the temple, it opens up, you become aware of those frequencies in the system that you weren't aware of before, like an orchestra tuning up. When the amplitude's low and they're not very loud, it doesn't really matter that the string section's a few cents off of each other. But when it becomes more apparent is when the amplitude increases and all of a sudden the energy's wide open. Then those frequencies that may or may not have been voicing are now full on command, and they're all voicing wide open. That's exactly what we're going through right now. All these frequencies in our system are voicing whether we're aware of what they are or not. And this is matched right in with all of the Kali Yuga and all of the different prophecy and all of the time that converges on right here and right now in human history, saying this is the greatest, most dramatic evolutionary paradigm shift that we have ever experienced up to this point, ever. And it all points to this point in time. All these seemingly non-connected philosophies from all over the world point to now. And it's almost as if we are going down, we're in this energy mode right now where we've asked for greater light, higher awareness, faster vibration, overall orchestra frequency, whatever you may say. And with that comes a responsibility, I say this all the time, of taking a car from 20 miles per hour to taking it to 120. And when you're at 20 miles per hour, you're not really having to pay all that much attention to some of the things around you. You pay attention. But at 120, you're wide open. You're full on. Your temple's open. That's an example of what would be called a mild state of ecstasy, being open like that. It's what gives football players the rush. It's what gives runners the high. It's what gives NASCAR drivers that wide open feeling. That's an example of ecstasy. Musicians, actors, me and speaking, whatever that may be. But when we're constantly opening the energy body like this, and we're opening up for all these people around us, and all these frequencies are going, and they're vibrating, and then they're going back down again. What's happened prior to now was we were kind of, I don't know if we were instructed, but we saw by example of a lot of people before us to, put on the happy face and keep, think positive and cover things with sugar. And unfortunately, that's why we're in the mess we're in. That's a large part of it, because a lot of the people before us were not willing to look at those, in the words of Pema Chodron, the places that scare you. Those peace in times of war. I love it. A great little book from her, as a matter of fact. But there's not a lot of people talking about those uncomfortable places that hurt. The places that when things get to a point of entropy and or breakdown and it feels like everything's falling apart, those things that want to stifle and put it down and say, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. I'm okay, you're okay, everything's just fine. And people are floundering around you in family or your friends or your work life, and you just don't want to see it because you want to put on a happy face. But that's what's brought us in so many ways to this position we're in right now. We're going through natural shifts in nature, in earth, a lot of these earth changes that happen naturally. You add in all of the pollution. I'm filming inside here in my home in Asheville, North Carolina. I normally film outside. I can't because the smoke is so thick, because I'm surrounded by 23,000 acres of forest fires right now. And it's intense the last few days, the last couple of weeks, really. It's been really intense. But it feels like everything's turning into a forest fire. And this is not a bad thing. There is no such thing as chaos. All that chaos is a much more deeply organized, rooted system that we are not able to comprehend. There's no such thing as chaos. Chaos is just the place where we haven't brought the light. Now, shutting down and trying not to look at it is adding more intensive kinetic energy into it than if you were to actually stop, look at it, and touch that place. You go and you touch the pain, and you touch that place that doesn't want to look. Touch that part of yourself, those notes that are resonating that you can't breathe because of them. We are the ones we have been waiting for. If we don't do it, who's going to? There's been so many great pioneers before us, but a lot were not able to do this. They were putting on the happy face. They were leave it to beaver. They were white picket fences and manicured lawns. and not realizing that the 50s weren't somehow better than what's happening now. The difference is that in the 50s, things were able to be more neatly tucked underneath the rug. So we weren't having to talk about it. They weren't talking about the booze in the drawer. They weren't talking about women getting beaten to a pulp and then covering themselves with makeup and numbing themselves with booze and drugs behind the scenes because it wasn't talked about publicly, because you don't do that. Well, guess what? We are talking about it publicly because everything is resonating. You can only hold down so many apples in a basin of water. You can only hold down so many corks on a lake before eventually they all fly out again. You're not here to stuff it up. You're not here, if you are a teacher, a performing artist, whatever that may be, anything from sacred church music to a full-blown sacred sexuality model or teacher. There's no right and wrongs in this. What matters is that you're authentic with yourself, that you're authentic in the present moment. We don't need people wearing masks anymore. The masks are a part of humanity, but we need the people to take them down and say, look, this is my mask, this is me, and yet I don't really know who me is. I just know that me is what sees through that mask. And let's look at what it is that makes this mask so heavy and thick. I'm willing to work with you. Private sessions, mentorship, whatever that may be. Go on my website, DaleAllenHoffman.com, go to personal sessions, click on, there's phone sessions, breathwork sessions here in Asheville, North Carolina that I do with my wife, my beautiful Magdalene Loretta, married over 18 years now, also my best friend besides my best friend Mike, and Bob and Shannon, and okay, we're going to go on forever with all the friends. You can also click on mentorship, where you can actually get really deep working one-on-one with me for three months, 6 months, or 12 months. But what I'm saying is the rubber has hit the road. It's time to get out of the classroom. There's nothing conscious or spiritual about smiling while the world falls apart around you, okay? Especially when people that need you are floundering and you're not willing to look at it because you feel as if you're suffering and you're uncomfortable. Understand, when we try not to feel something, we push more intensely against that and create more kinetic energy that increases the very thing we're trying not to feel. Let's see an example of whether you can not think about something, okay? It doesn't work. This is the way media works. It's the way politicians work. It's the way lawyers work. Once they get a thought out there, they can strike it from the record, but the jury's already heard it, okay? And we've heard all these frequencies that are voicing, don't think about Frank Sinatra. Did you have a choice in that? Unless you don't know who Frank Sinatra is, no, you didn't. And if you don't know who he is, your brain's going, all right, hold on, Sinatra, like Bing Crosby kind of, What I'm saying is you don't really have a choice in that matter. These frequencies are resonating right now. We are the ones that are here to hold that space, to hold the light, to be the grounding rod for those around us and for ourselves. A lot of times people are going to completely lose their marbles and won't be able to hold on to anything. And you're going to have those moments too. Trust me, the teachers, I don't know why most of them aren't talking about it. Maybe they're afraid of losing their following, but we're all losing it. People that I know that would never even have thought of suicide are talking about it and getting right there to the point of it. Because that's what happens. We're on this roller coaster that's gone downhill, and it's in this intensive curve right now. And one thing you're not able to do when that kind of intensive gravitational force is happening, which is exactly what's happening to us, when you're in that, or we're going closer, if it's true, to the galactic center, and we're in that tight spin pattern, one thing you're not able to do is keep your wits about you, unless you're able to be willing to feel your breath and be aware of your breath and feel the frequencies that are resonating in the system. We just had a supermoon the last couple of nights, and NASA was saying that moon actually created what would be called almost like a nose on Earth. The gravitational force of the moon was pulling the Earth to more of a point. And I've read this amazing article about the relationship between planets and how they affect each other. It's amazing. You're not alone. You're not in this alone. This isn't something that you have to bear the brunt of. You don't have to hold up some light and then fall apart in your personal life, okay? You're here to be real, authentic, and open. If you can't, that's fine. Don't do it. But look, we need you. We need you. Whoever it is that's watching this, we need you. Stop the candy coating. Stop the sugar coating. Let's just be real with each other and be authentic and help each other move through these points in time, because the putting on the happy face thing, It hasn't worked before, it never worked, and it's not going to work now because it's not acknowledging those things that are in the system. Ernest Holmes said, turn away from the condition. And I've seen so many people turn that into turn away from what you're feeling. But no, 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 no. The condition is what appears to be the chaos in your life. You'll see more deeply when you go within and find that space of your own breath and your own heartbeat. You'll be able to open your eyes and see through what appears to be chaos or some kind of messed up conditions. Okay? So if you need help, contact us. Go contact me. My wife and Loretta and I will be right there with you. Go to the personal sessions page on DaleAllenHoffman.com, and I'm here for you. It doesn't matter if you feel that you're nobody, a nothing, because I've been there before. It doesn't matter if you feel that or you're out there in front of millions of people. Contact us because we can help you navigate the changes because we are literally the ones we have been waiting for. It's time, and we are the light. We are the ones that are here that are grounding rods. We are the grounding rods for humanity and everything beyond. Stay open, be aware of your breath, and amen. And so it is.